established Rich coming right back catch you. And today we gotta talk about DJ Akademiks and Charlamagne the God. And I'm gonna be real with y'all. I understand why Akademiks felt a certain way. If somebody I consider a friend calls me and says, yo, watch your back, people are moving against you, my first question is gonna be simple. Who? Because if you know enough to call me, you should know enough to tell me where it's coming from. That's where this whole thing got messy. Charlamagne says he was trying to give Akademiks a heads up. Akademiks heard the heads up and felt like he was too close to the people pushing the information. And that's a real difference. One man thinks he's doing you a favor. The other man is looking at him like, why do my ops feel comfortable talking about me to you? That's the part that makes this more than just internet drama. This is about trust, sources, media politics, and what happens when private industry conversations get turned into content.
Charlamagne legitimately told me, this is bigger than just entertainment, and then he evoked politics. He says, yo, it's an election year, it's politics. They're saying that, either you or the people around you are taking money for political shit. And I'm like, huh? And that's where I connected that to Jeremy. Because Jeremy said I was taking money from politics. Like, nigga, I know if I took some money from politicians, I would have been said it, nigga. I would have been said I robbed them niggas. That's what I do, nigga. Stole that. So I was caught off guard when Charlamagne said, no, this is not about money and music. This is about politics. Your platform and the people around you are so big, people are investigating to see if y'all are influencing. That threw me for the loop. So that's the part that I'm not too sure if Charlamagne didn't realize. I was so confused. I'm like, you're saying we're influencing. So that's basically the thing. They don't care if I promote Drake or whoever. They're saying your platform and the people around you, they're starting to influence elections. And then I hear this MAGA shit. And I'm like, huh? So whoever's like doing this is also having that angle that we're influencing people and it's an election year.
I understand Akademiks' reaction on a human level. If a man calls you with a warning about somebody, but can't tell you who that somebody is, you're going to look at him sideways. Because now you're wondering if he's warning you, testing you, or delivering a message from people who don't like you. And in Akademiks' world, that matters. Akademiks lives in a media space where everybody has an agenda, everybody has a source, and everybody is trying to control the narrative before the narrative controls them. So when Charlamagne calls him and tells him people may be trying to smear him or cancel him, Akademiks is not just hearing concern. He's hearing strategy. He's hearing a possible setup. He's hearing somebody saying, I know something about what your enemies are doing, but I can't tell you how I know. That will make a lot of y'all uncomfortable. And that's why I can't just say Akademiks was crazy for questioning it. Because if you call yourself my friend, don't give me half a warning. Don't tell me watch my back and then leave me guessing on where the knife might come from. That's not a clean place to leave somebody. But here's where Ak may have hurt himself. He took a private call and turned it into a public stream. And in media, that's a big line to cross. Because some calls are supposed to stay off camera. Some conversations are supposed to be man to man. Some information is given to you with the understanding that you don't run to the internet and turn it into a clip. Once Akademiks did that, the whole relationship changed. Now Charlamagne can say, this is why I haven't said anything earlier. And that's where Akademiks has to take some responsibility. Even if he felt played, he could have called Charlamagne and handled this offline. But once he took it public, it stopped being a warning. It became a war.
Let me hear that. Because what came across our desk was the same information, but not that. It just was like this spreadsheet that was like, yo, DJ Akademiks takes money from music people and media people and, political people. And also they take money to spread false narratives about folks, like do these smear campaigns and things of that nature. And that wasn't even what I was really calling him to get a heads up on, because Ak will tell you himself. Ak's like, yeah, I take money to, from music people. Like that's not a secret. The political stuff he said he didn't know anything about. Whatever. The reason I called Ak, and Ak said, I think that he asked me who was behind it, and I said I couldn't tell him. That's not true. I said I don't know, but I would find out. But what I did tell him was that these three individuals, Carson McCoy, another guy named Alex Ocha, and George Nguyen. How you pronounce it, Chris? It's a Vietnamese name.
Nguyen.
Nguyen is the closest, yeah.
George Nguyen. He's that's Grand Wizard Chat nigga. And he is from Australia. what we were told was the Carson kid and George were getting investigated, got pressed by investigators, and cooperated.
No, not Grandy.
And told
No,
and
not
said
Grandy.
and said that they get their marching orders from Akademiks and Drake.
Charlamagne's point is not hard to understand either. From his view, he probably thought he was doing what media people do behind the scenes. You hear something moving around, you call somebody you know, you say, yo, be careful out there, I'm hearing things. That can be a professional courtesy. But the problem is, Charlamagne is not some random media person. He's Charlamagne the God. He's been in this game a long time. He knows how information moves. He knows how sources use people. He knows how a warning can sound like a threat when you don't reveal where it came from. So if he called Akademiks with that kind of message, he had to know Ak was going to ask questions. And if he didn't want to answer those questions, he had to know Ak might take it the wrong way. That's why this feels like both men are right and wrong at the same time. Charlamagne may have been right to warn him. Akademiks may have been right to question the warning. Charlamagne may have been wrong to leave it that vague. Akademiks may have been wrong to put that private call on Front Street. That's the whole problem. Everybody had a point, and everybody moved in a way that made the situation worse. Now, where it gets even more personal is when Charlamagne starts talking like Akademiks may not know what the people around him are doing. That can sound like advice, but that can also sound like an insult, because now you're not just saying watch your back. Now you're saying you might be too naive to understand the people around you. And Akademiks is not the type of person who is going to hear that and say, thank you for the wisdom, big bro. He gonna hear that like disrespect. He gonna hear that like somebody questioning his intelligence. He gonna hear that like Charlamagne is trying to position himself as a grown man, while Akademiks is the little brother who don't understand the game. And whether Charlamagne meant it that way or not, it can land that way. That's why words matter when two media personalities already have egos, audiences, history, and people around them feeding the fire.
I don't know if this is true. I don't know if it's not true. I'm just
Grandy's Vietnamese?
What? Is he? He lives in Australia. Yo, I sent Ak the pictures they sent us of him, and Ak goes, who is this? And I go, they say this is the George Grand Wizard chat nigga dude. And then he was like, what? I thought he was skinny. And so I guess when he sent Grand the pictures, Grand confirmed, like, yeah, man, I got these pictures sent to me, a few months ago. So I was just calling Ak to give him a heads up. And I said, yo, you might need to watch the people around you. Because sometimes, man.
No, Grandy.
Listen, sometimes
He's hilarious, though.
I don't know. But sometimes you be in business with people and aren't fully aware of all the things that they may be doing. I saw there's this guy in Australia. He wrote an article called
Rahman.
Kishore Napir Rahman apparently has been doing this story. Like, he writes for like a newspaper out there in Australia. So apparently this was a big deal. Like, they came to Grand Wizard's house, aka George Nguyen, and was talking to his parents and was talking to him. And this is all allegedly. Him and the dude Carson were cooperating and just told them, hey, we do these things because of these two individuals, Akademiks and Drake. Once again, I don't know if this is true or not. I just decided to tell Ak what the hell was going on, right? So also, Ak told me that Carson...
So they're rolling on, according to this, they're rolling on Ak.
Who's rolling on that?
The Grandy and then the other person.
They just said that they're cooperating, and they said that the two people they get their marching orders from was Akademiks and Drake.
But are they, so they're cooperating against?
That's what it sounded like to me.
And we know this is true, or this is all alleged right now?
I'm just showing you what they said. They said it's been an investigation.
This is where the media game gets dirty, because a lot of people think hip-hop media is just opinions, jokes, reactions, and hot takes. Hip-hop media is power. Who gets defended? Who gets attacked? Who gets called a legend? Who gets called a clown? Who gets protected behind the scenes? Who gets sacrificed for clicks? All that stuff matters. Akademiks understands that. Charlamagne definitely understands that. So when they fall out, I'm not just talking about two dudes arguing. It's two different media machines looking at each other with suspicion. Akademiks built his whole brand off not trusting the industry. Charlamagne built his brand by being inside the industry, but still talking like he's outside enough to critique it. That difference was always going to create tension. Akademiks thinks people are always trying to use media to take somebody down. Charlamagne knows media can warn people, protect people, or destroy people depending on who's in control of the information. So this phone call hit the exact nerve that could set both of them off. Akademiks heard a warning and saw a possible setup. Charlamagne gave a warning and then watched it get used against him. That's why this went left so fast. And let's be honest, Akademiks crashing out is part of why we watch him. When Ak feels disrespected, he don't just respond. He goes live, starts naming names, starts connecting dots, starts talking crazy, and turns one phone call into a whole episode. That makes great content, but it can also burn bridges that may be useful later. That's the danger of being a content creator who lives in real time. Every emotion can become a broadcast. That's what happened here. Akademiks may be right to be suspicious, but he also may have let his suspicion push him into a place where Charlamagne says, I tried to help you and you used it for content. Because if people in the industry start thinking they can't call you privately without you going live, they may stop calling altogether. That can hurt you in ways you don't even see right now. Now on Charlamagne's side, he also has to understand how his position looks. If you're receiving information from people who don't like Ak, and then you won't tell Ak where it came from, you can't be shocked when he questions your role. Because from Ak's view, it looks like his enemies are comfortable using Charlamagne as a messenger. That's a bad look if you're supposed to be cool with him. Even if Charlamagne didn't mean it that way, the optics are rough. And in media, optics can become reality fast. Charlamagne may have been trying to warn Akademiks, but he didn't give him enough to trust the warning. And now both of them are in a position where ego may keep the beef going longer than the original issue deserved. The truth is, this could have been a 5-minute man-to-man conversation. Who told you that? I can't say. Then don't call me with half information. That could have been the end of it. But because both of these men live off media, the media became the fight. And that's why this is entertaining, even though it is ridiculous. Because at the root of it, this is really about trust. If Charlamagne is your friend, he should be able to warn you without you thinking he's a snake. If Akademiks is your friend, he should be able to ask you for details without you making him feel crazy for wanting to know. But if the trust is already thin, even a warning can sound like a threat. That's what this is. A warning landed wrong because the relationship wasn't strong enough to hold it. But hey, that's just my opinion. What's yours? Like, comment, subscribe. Establish Rich. I'll be back with another one. Peace.